Yo, Pt.3 Guy here. What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to part 3 of Project Focal. So the first 2 videos, you guys have given me a lot of feedback and opinions, and I greatly appreciate it. So I'm going to tell you what we're going to do today. So off camera this morning, I got up and I put what was in the front doors, they're now in the rear, and those are component speakers. So I'm going to mount the tweeters back there soon, but I went ahead and put the speakers behind the panel. It's not a fun project. You gotta take the back seat and lower it down, then take the panel off and then do all this stuff, and yeah, it's not fun. So I did that off camera. But what we're going to do today, a lot of you guys said that I shouldn't put my crossovers inside my door because of moisture, and eventually it'd probably get to the crossover. So we're going to take the crossover out of the door and mount it somewhere inside of the door panel itself. So we'll do that today. Also, the bigger project is putting in this audio signal splitter. And the reason why I bought this is because it provides 10 volts of signal. It's a line driver. I have this aftermarket Android head unit here that is absolutely phenomenal. I have plenty of videos on this if you want to know more about it, but the RCA outputs are not that strong. So I have this splitter here that's going to give me just a little bit more voltage to my amplifier so that I can reach maximum power before clipping. So I'm going to put this in today. It's super easy to install. It'll go under this seat here with this amp that we're going to rewire and rework as well, and then we'll be done. So the project today, get the crossovers out, put them inside the door panel, get this hooked up, and then we should be, good to go. Also, real quick, you guys have been telling me that you don't think my mid-range is to be in the door, and I agree with you guys. It shouldn't be in the door because it's firing directly at the side of my body or just slightly in front of it, so it's a weird place for it to be. I really wanted it to be over there somewhere in front of me, but it's just not enough depth. There's a whole bunch of metal directly behind that part of the panel, so it wouldn't fit. So you guys suggested me doing my A-pillars. That's not gonna happen either. There's just no space. It's an airbag, of course, which is fine, but there is no space inside this panel at all. I can pop it off for you. There is not a chance of me getting one in here. And so I don't want to build pods or anything like that because it's just gonna look stupid. It'll be sitting right here. That's half of my vision gone, and I just don't want to do it. Not in this vehicle. If it was an SUV, sure, but this car is not a big car as it is. So what I'm gonna do to combat that, I'm gonna move the tweeters back to where I used to have them on my first system. We're gonna put them back in the door so that they're closer to that mid-range, so my sound stage isn't so far apart, isn't so separated. So we'll take the tweeters and mount them back on the doors there, and they'll be a little bit closer to the mid-range. That's just gonna have to stay there. So check out this mess of wires. It's not pretty, it's not fun, but since I'm back here and I'm going to be rewiring some of the stuff, we might as well go ahead and get everything tidied up. So this red set of cables here, one of the RCAs on here actually has stopped working on me, either on this end or the other end, somewhere within the line. So we're going to take all of this out for good reason. One, because one of them doesn't work, and then two, we're gonna put in the new wires. I bought some new cables that go to the audio pipe. These are heavily braided, like they're very nice, and then they just have a little dangly part at the end for getting around corners and stuff. So that's the wire we're going to use to power up the subs as well as the 4-channel amplifier under the seat. So, but while we're back here, we're going to just kind of tidy some of this up. So I went ahead and unplugged all my RCAs so far, and then we'll plug them up to the new ones to get it rerouted, and we'll be good to go. All right, so we're pretty much done with the wiring as far as getting it routed. Here's my audio pipe. It'll be routed underneath the seat there, but it'll sit pretty much close to the SCAR amp. By the way, if you want to know what SCAR amp I'm running, I think it's like the ABM 150.4 or something like that. I don't remember. It's my reamp from SCAR Audio. I love it. Got all of it routed, and it goes right through here through the trim. This is where some of my other speaker wire goes through, right through the trim here, and then just follows the path underneath the floorboard, underneath that panel, and comes out at the top there. So once I put the panels back on, you'll never know that there was wires routed through. So the next order of business is unhooking the amp, getting the new RCAs hooked up to it, and then putting back the wires where they were. So look at that mess, man. This is crazy. All right, check it out. So wires are routed and the panels are back on all the way through underneath. So only parts that you can see is here, because that's where the seat is raised up. When you put it back, you see nothing at all, just like I had it. And then on the back, we've done some wiring already as far as the line driver here. We got most of it routed. Got my RCAs plugged up. I need to grab one more RCA for the rear speaker there. But that's good, and this is coming from the head unit, so that's good too. Made sure I had enough length to do what I needed to do. And then we wired up the power, ground, and remote. So this is what you have on the audio pipe: power, ground, and remote, and it's labeled on the unit itself. And so I went ahead and labeled it with some tape for my own knowledge. So left side is ground, middle is remote, and the right side is power. And then as you go down, the lines stay constant, so I always know which one is right. And even at the bottom, just in case I'm being quick and being careless or anything like that, they are marked too. So the one with the most tape is the ground, one with the middle small tape is the remote, and then the one with the no tape at all right there, that's going to be my power. So I'm actually going to bridge them together with my power, ground, and remote that's going to my amp. So it'll be a quick and seamless fit, and then it just plugs right in right there. So this should be an easy job. All right, so we wired everything up, got the ground back, and it's ready to go. And both blue LED indicators are lighting up. You can probably see, there you go there. And then I still have room to bring the seat up. Awesome. And if we go back to the other side, we have another blue light of the amp there. So we're good to go, good to go, good to go. So we'll tuck that in. The cool thing about my floor mats, they're made for my car. So when I stuff them back down, if I do it correctly, they cover everything. So that's super nice. I'll put that back here in just a second. But that's perfect. Now I'm gonna play some music off camera to make sure that everything's working, and then we'll get into the doors and take those crossovers out, and then we'll be done. All right, we are moving right along. Next order of business, we're gonna get these Focal tweeters back where I used to have them. You can see the cutouts already on the panel. These remove, of course. So we're gonna take this off, and we're gonna put the tweeter back on it. And I think I'm gonna have them not facing directly towards the seats, but kind of right past it, kind of meet in the middle somewhere there. And then I can time align it. I don't want them directly firing at me or whoever sits in the car, because that could be fatiguing potentially. So we'll put them here, and we'll face towards the middle of the car. It's a pretty easy process here. So we're not gonna use these brackets. We're gonna use, if I can find it, where'd it go? We're gonna use the brackets that are already on the speaker itself. So they're angled, which is really cool. They're really angled. So you can kind of place them how you want to. So I need it to be angled, and they're gonna sit kind of just like that on the piece. So I've already done it on one door so you guys can see. I'll show you how I did it in just a second, but here's an example of it. So I haven't finished wiring it up yet, but there you have it. So it sits kind of firing across instead of at me. I'll see how that sounds. If not, I can just turn it around. You'll see that the Focal symbol is slightly crooked, and that's because when you put the tweeters in, they have to line up with these grooves that are inside the enclosure. So they have to line up, so it only can go one or two ways. It's either Focal's gonna be here or Focal's gonna be there. So it is what it is. I just want it to sound good. So we're gonna do this door with this panel down there, and we'll get ready to get the crossovers out. Tweedledee and Tweeterdum is completely done. So now we're gonna move over to the other side. I'll show you what the next project is we're gonna finally mount the crossovers to the inside of the panel, and that'll be it for the Focal setup. So I'm gonna use this as an example. This is the old QRS. I'm looking kind of at the door and where I think I can put it, and there's not a lot of options. Really, the only place I could put it is probably next to the mid-range, just above it, because this is where the hole is at that has the most depth to it. If you can kind of look through the door, it's kind of hard for you guys to see through it, but I can see perfectly through it. The glass is just behind this, and so I should be able to maybe cut a small square out in the shape of the Focal crossovers, and it'll sit right here, and it shouldn't protrude, so the panel still goes on like I want it to, and the window still goes up and down like I want it to. That's the goal. I'm kind of looking through the panel. I don't really see any place I can like stuff it. Maybe down in this little area I might be able to stuff it in, but it's gonna be tough. So I'm just gonna have to play around with some options, but we're gonna do that off camera to keep you guys from being any more bored than you are already. And let me just say one thing. It is hot. Look at my face. I am sweating, man. So this is it's a tough task, but it's fun. So let's get to it. Let me put the crossovers in the door and we'll be good to go. 20 minutes has passed now in real time, and I've tried to find sections for the crossover to go on this door, and it's not happening. It's not happening, even with a hole cut out for the mid-range and for the crossover to go kind of right there in front of it. It's just, there's just too much metal right here. It's just not going to happen. There is not a cubby hole or anything that's going to work. I thought maybe trimming this off and putting it here. That ain't going to happen. I thought putting it down in there. Nothing here. Nada. So we're gonna have to put it in the door anyway. So I have it sitting out. So what I'm gonna do, I have some all-weather material. I'm just gonna wrap it right now in some all-weather material. It's not gonna add any more heat to the component. It's not gonna make it hotter because it's insulated. It's not insulated, it's just protected with pretty much like a clear protection, so no water can kind of get into the crossover itself. So I'll do that for now. I'll wrap it in some all-weather material, put it back in the door where I had it mounted. And that's what we're gonna have to do for now, because I don't really have any idea where I would where I would mount it inside the car. So it is what it is. My car was simply just not made for a crossover, for a three-way system. So, but we're gonna do it anyway, so stay tuned. All right, y'all. Mission Focal, Project Focal is almost done. All the speakers are in the doors. Everything looks good. It sounds good. I've done a little demo off camera. Can't let you guys hear it just yet. We have to tune it up. I have a lot of work to do. That audio pipe driver, that line driver, made a huge difference. The RCAs that come out of this, they're probably 2 volts max. I'm getting 10 volts with that, and it's made a night and day difference on where my gain level is on my amplifier. I haven't tried it out with my subs. I disconnected my subs for now, but it's made a huge difference in the volume level that these can go. So I'm super excited to mess around with that and get that tuned up. But other than that, guys, stay tuned for the next part, the last part of the project, where we do a sound demo, get the equalizer set, and we have a little fun. All right, guys, appreciate you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button, like if you haven't already. We'll see you next time.